Hello everyone, this is Douglas Elliott. Today I'm going to be going over a demonstration on some of the tools included in the Kali Linux distribution. So Kali Linux is a Debian-based Linux distribution which is created primarily for security testing, penetration testing, and even some computer forensics. It includes software for network analysis, password crackers as well. So we're actually in Kali Linux 2.0, which was released as of July 2015. The UI is definitely much more friendly than Kali Linux 1.0. You can sort of see the sidebar over here, which includes all the various tools that we can go through. We have our app drawer that we can do searches for. And what's nice is that if you go onto the Applications tab, you can really find all kinds of tools related to what you want to do. So our focus this afternoon is going to be mainly on network forensics, specifically on information gathering. So the first tool that we're going to be going over is Nmap, or Network Mapper. It was created by security expert Gordon Lyon, and essentially what we're going to do is we're going to send some packets to our cist.pit.edu domain, and we're going to do some scans for open ports, that are available on the target machine, and then we're also going to find out what operating system it's running. So this tool is included with Kali Linux, so we're going to go ahead and start off with the command nmap -o for operating system detection, and let's go ahead and do cist.pit.edu. But actually before that, let's do an ns lookup for cist.pit.edu just so we can punch in the exact IP address here. So we're going to go ahead and use this IP address. So let's use nmap-o 150.212.141-30. And it's going to run for a little bit. Depending on how many machines you choose to do, you can scan a range of machines here. It'll really just take more or less time depending on how many machines you plan to scan. So we're just scanning one machine here. It really shouldn't take more than a couple seconds, so let's see what kind of results we get here. Shortly, we should be getting it. Okay, so we can see nmap scan report for dcsub.cist.pit.edu, so that's the actual server name that we did a scan for. We can see the latency, and we're essentially seeing all the open ports, the port numbers, whether it's TCP or UDP, assigned to that machine. And then it does its best to take a guess at what the operating system is. So different servers or machines oftentimes respond to packets in different orders. And based on the way that a machine responds to Nmap will essentially dictate what system it's running. So we can essentially see that its best guess is Microsoft Windows 2012, or in this case it is actually Windows Server 2012 R2. So that's definitely correct. So I find this to be extremely useful. So the next tool that we're actually going to be going over is NBTScan. And NBTScan, or NetBIOScan, essentially allows us to scan for host names along with IP addresses and MAC addresses of those machines. It scans them incredibly quickly, so we're going to go ahead and do a whole range of machines here. So we're going to go ahead and do a scan for the CIST lab. So NBTScan. And here is the beginning of the CIST domain. So let's see what we get here. So some of these are unknown, which means that it may have been unable to return the host name, but we can actually see a ton of machines on this subnet here. Most of them are servers because most of these machines are technically running Windows Server 2012 R2. This is the machine that I'm actually remoting into, so you can see the MAC address there. This right here, it doesn't actually show that it is a server, but it is actually a printer. But it is really nice that it happened to pick that up for us, so another great tool to go through. So the next tool that we're going to look at here is a custom word list generator. It's called Cewl, C-E-W-L, and it's essentially a web crawler that goes out and pulls unique strings out from whatever website you take it to, and it's going to compile those into a .txt or a word list for us, which we're actually going to use in the next tool, which is Password Cracker. So I've already gone ahead and taken care of that, simply because the scan does take a couple minutes to go through. So we can actually see my dictionary that I made was upb dictionary.txt. So we're just going to go ahead and take a look at that real quick. And we can actually see a ton of information that it's happened to pull. So it's going to pull essentially anything that would be useful in a dictionary. So we can see a wide range of words here. Actually a lot of stuff. So another great tool to go through. So the following tool that we're going to use is called John the Ripper. It's a command line tool. And what's great about the command line tools is that they actually have a small footprint, which if you were to be doing a live acquisition with this Linux distribution, which you can essentially install Kali Linux onto a flash drive. You can go ahead and boot it up into live acquisition mode, and you can start doing data dumps. And since most of these commands are command line based, the small footprint on the RAM is actually great when you're trying to gather information like that. So to do this, we're actually going to make a new user. So let's go ahead and add a new user. So let's call him Don. And it's going to ask us to make a new Unix password. So let's do Lewicki, so Lewicki. I apologize that it's not popping up here. Actually, I kind of messed it up, so let's go ahead and go through that again. And we're just going to set the defaults for that kind of information. So John the Ripper actually requires two files to be combined so that it can do a password crack, or essentially a brute force crack on the password. So there are two things that we actually need here. One of them is the /etc/password file, and you can go ahead and take a look at that. So we can see that we've got our password file here. You can also see that we've got our shadow file. So the password file contains actual account information regarding that user, and the shadow file actually contains the hashed password for that user. So we're going to use the unshadow command to combine those files together. We're going to output that to a password.txt. So we can see we've got it right there. So the actual command is John. I'm going to go ahead and do a format, what kind of algorithm that we want to use to crack. So for this Linux distribution, the default is SHA-512, if I can type that in correctly. And we're also going to use our word list, our dictionary that I had created previous to this. So we're going to use the UPB dictionary to speed things up. So it's going to look for names in the dictionary first. And then we're going to be choosing to crack password. And what's also nice is that while it's going down here, we can actually press any other key and it's going to give us a progress report of how well it's doing. So our username from which we wanted to crack the password for is Don, and we can see that it has successfully cracked the password, which is Lewicki, as I mentioned previously. So a fantastic tool to use. John the Ripper, I believe, is actually available for Windows, Mac OS X, and Linux environments. So the following tool that we're actually going to go over is the Harvester. The Harvester essentially goes out onto the web and finds unique information regarding email addresses on websites, as well as other IPs and servers associated with that website. Let's go ahead and do the Harvester. We're going to be choosing upb.pit.edu. We're going to set a search limit to 300, and we're going to do a search from Google. If I remember correctly, you can actually use Google, Twitter, and Bing to perform your search here. So we're just going to use Google. And let's go ahead and go through that here. So we can see searches that it's going through here. Didn't seem to work out correctly, so let's go ahead and try this again. Oftentimes, it doesn't quite search correctly the first time. Let's go ahead and do this one more time. Set the limit to 200, and let's use Google again. Let's output that to the harvester.txt. So let's take a look. I'm terribly sorry, but we actually didn't get that to do the correct scan. But normally it would spit out probably 15 or 20 emails, and from there it would also give us some host names and IP addresses also associated with that server. So I do apologize that it isn't working correctly. I've done it numerous times over, but for the sake of this video, let's just continue on. So the next tool that we're going to be going over is called MetaGooFill, and MetaGooFill is not installed inherently on Kali Linux, so we're just going to go ahead and update our packages and install that real quick. So MetaGooFill basically goes out to whatever domain you send it to, and from there it's going to scrape for any kind of document that you decide to do. So you can search for PDF documents, Word documents, Microsoft Excel documents, and PowerPoint documents. So let's go ahead and install that real quick. Should be finished in just a couple seconds. So let's use the MetaGooFill command. So let's do upb.pit.edu. Let's choose a file type for PDF. Let's choose a search limit for 200. And let's go ahead and do an output directory to the /root. So while that's running, I'm going to go ahead and show you the last tool here. So the last tool is called Maltego, and Maltego essentially allows you to search for any kind of domain, any kind of IP address, any host name, or website, and it's basically going to create a network topology of all devices, phones, and even people associated with that entity. So I actually went ahead and did a search just for time constraints. So I did a search on the domain of cist.pit.edu. We can see right here. We can basically see all the email accounts that are connected to this. We can see the different web servers that are connected to this. And what you can do is you can actually resolve that to an IP address if you wanted to. So you can grab all kinds of information. We can also see the servers that this is connected to. We go over here a little bit. So we can see that this seems to branch out to these two servers here, which then branch out to these different websites. This is actually a fantastic tool. I just went ahead and did a small search on one of the other machines. So I actually decided to do this search on UPB, and it came up with an IP address or IP addresses associated with it. We also came up with the other associated website. We've also got phone numbers involved. We got some people as well. We've got a location. And then here again is the cist.pit.edu domain. So this is a fantastic tool for doing any kind of network topology search for different kinds of devices. So I do apologize that this has actually gone to run short, but just to close out, thank you very much, and here is the actual PDF of what we downloaded. Thank you.